Hundreds of people in the valley say they are hearing voices in their heads. And those voices are being transmitted by microwave or other methods.
Well, several viewers asked us to investigate what they call electronic harassment. KMIR6's Angela Monroe joins us now with what she's discovered. Angela.
Electronic harassment, synthetic telepathy, voice-to-skull technology. Chances are you haven't heard of these terms, but after searching the internet, I found dozens of websites dedicated to the phenomenon and several Valley residents who say they're victims.
How much more can you invade me than to go into my brain?
It sounds like somebody else is reading the book, only it's thoughts.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
These men all live in the area, didn't know each other before the voices started, and say someone is playing mind games with them.
Mostly it's a lot of derogatory comments about whatever you're thinking about.
Only time I ever had a whole sentence, he said, "This is not about you," which just frosted me. If it's not about me, what the hell am I going through all this for?
Kevin Bond says he used to have a normal life.
I was living in the San Diego area. I was clerking for a federal judge, and I noticed that I was being followed by a whole bunch of people.
According to the websites, what Bond is describing is called gang stalking. He moved to Palm Springs to escape.
I started hearing, as you'll hear, hearing voices and what they'll call voice-to-skull or microwave hearing.
Bob Stansfield says his experience was similar and started a decade ago.
They were active in following me around here, and I started hearing the voices a little bit after the vehicular stalking.
Randall Ringer says the voices started when he was undergoing chemotherapy.
The first thing that was said was, "Randall Ringer." And I sat up straight and I went into the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, looked myself in the eyes, and I said, did that really happen?
Bond says he's found more than 300 victims locally and is tracking others across the state through billboards. In Johnson Valley, a Freedom House just opened to help people who believe they are being targeted.
To many of you who find yourselves the object of covert harassment, that there is hope and that you are not alone, and that we are striving to find legislation and we're working towards freedom for all.
Derek Robinson leads a national group called Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance. He says he knows who's playing mind games.
Voice-to-skull technology. This is also in the foray of directed energy weapons.
What is that?
The ability to, let's just say, throw your voice into your head, or my voice into my head, or allowing algorithms that now they can blanket a whole geographical area and they can make everybody change their thoughts. They can, I use the term intrusive thoughts. Back to that fork in the road analogy. If you find yourself where you have to make a decision about something, next thing you know, you catch yourself kind of having an argument in your head with your own voices. Well, the ability to add another one of your voices in there, but have it controlled by somebody else's microphone, so to say, is a very powerful tool. And I think this is a weapon of war that we are seeing happen to everyone around us. The Department of Defense recently started initiating protocols for their employees, their agents, to discuss Havana syndrome-like symptoms. And on that list is that their agents are hearing voices in their head.
V2K.
Apparatus for audibly communicating speech using the radio frequency hearing effect. Now we're getting into transmitting voices directly into people's heads. A modulation process with a fully suppressed carrier and input processor filtering to produce an encoded output. For amplitude modulation and audio speech processor filtering, intelligible subjective sound is produced when the encoded signal is demodulated using the RF hearing effect. So again, they've got diagrams here explaining exactly how this can be done. We're talking about putting speech through various frequencies being decoded by the human brain as an actual voice.
See, there's nothing crazy about it, even if...
So can you expand on that exactly?
Well, like telepathy.
Yeah.
You know, the thing with mind control is very bad because they call it synthetic telepathy. They can induce thoughts in you. They can induce voices in your head, and of course voices in your head that you're crazy, you know. They can do that, and they have done that from, at least officially, from the Iraqi First War. They gave orders to soldiers straight into their head. Of course, they were guinea pigs.
American soldiers?
American, yeah, right. And if this technology...
Did they use it on the enemy as well?
Yes, in a way, because I always remember I was so shocked when I saw a picture when soldiers came from bunkers, Iraqi soldiers. They had bunkers and about 3-yard walls, you know. They had drinks and food for 6 months. Americans had sent helicopters above, and they had Arabic-speaking interpreters who spoke Arabic to them, and they were sending, with microwaves, orders to come out. They were being mind-controlled. And all of a sudden, all the guys came out. With no reason at all. Nobody attacked physically. It was just done with mind control.
Then they have the neurophone of Patrick Flanagan to make the target hear voices via laser, via microwaves, radiation, wave direction of sound that's being converted to electrical impulse to go straight to the target's brain. So, you know, hearing voices is not a sign of mental illness necessarily. You have to consider that it can be a military technology. And this is the greatest, I would say, insult to medical doctors, that we are not taught this. No medical doctors generally know.
The illegal use of directional energy weapons on civilians such as myself causes a great deal of psychological issues. Remote neural monitoring technology, V2K, and EMP are being used to cause mass destruction across the globe. And because not enough people are aware of this and how exactly it works, I'll explain based on my experience. Targets are being violated in every sense of the word by the ones who have their brain linked to a brain-computer interface. Once linked, the monitors can see everything the target sees, read every thought the target has, emotion, so on and so forth. They will degrade, harass, kill targets for the use of this V2K EMP mind control technology. They will lie to you, deceive you, and try to confuse you as much as possible every single day. They are there when you shower and go to the bathroom. They are there for your most intimate moments. You will have absolutely no privacy. They will communicate with you via synthetic telepathy at all times, and every comment they make will be perverse and only to degrade you. There is no known way to disconnect oneself from this technology or even detect it. Therefore, targets have no other choice but to deal with a constant barrage of harassment, which will have a severely detrimental impact on the target's thought processes and psyche. The ones behind this operation will threaten the target's lives, their families' lives, and their friends' lives if they consider speaking out about what's happening to them. Because it's very hard to confide in someone that doesn't have an understanding of what it's like to be a targeted individual, most remain silent. Medical professionals are unaware of how this works, lawyers, etc. Therefore, those dealing with this are being misdiagnosed with mental illnesses such as schizophrenia or psychosis. Unless you'd like this to happen to yourself, your child, or a loved one, I would strongly suggest understanding the reality of this illegal operation and make as many people as possible aware of it.
Let me go down the list of some of these that I came up with. We've got DARPA has a sonic projector that was reported on in 2007. But of course, it had been around for quite some time before then. Army has something they call voice to skull. We got the Air Force using microwaves to create sounds at Brooks Air Force Base. We've got the Marine Corps with their Medusa project. We've got the State Department, as reported by the Washington Post in 2005, working on voices implanted in people's heads. We've got a couple of companies, one that has patented something called hypersound. That's American Technologies. Has also got Holosonic Research Labs, also has a patented version. So the military-industrial complex has been all over this. When you see something this wide, this is not just one little research project from one organization.
So nobody else around you can hear, but just the one person being beamed can hear the sound. And the university were told that this would aid the deaf enormously, because people could talk into a device and they would just hear it straight through. It was also picked up by the superstore manufacturers, who said, well, we can also use this for good, because it didn't take people very long, especially the military and other superstores, to think, well, hang on, we can use this for our own devices. So the military can now put voices into people's heads to do whatever deed they wish it to achieve.
I am a targeted individual of weaponized frequencies, and this is how I stop them. But this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a hat, you're going to need a TENS unit, you're going to need some blankets. These blankets are aluminum infused, and this one is a copper infused one. Cut a circle out of it, stick it inside of your hat. Take a pad, and your TENS unit pad right here. This is active. Here's a positive one right here. Here's another positive one. Put the negatives on the other side. Make sure that it's all touching the same metal. Throw your TENS unit inside of your hat, just like that. I put on another hat for comfort. It completely blocks the V2K microwave auditory effect and the remote neural monitoring. And it cuts down the tinnitus extremely. So here, take a good look at it. Put the pads over here, negative, positive, hook it up, turn it up all the way. Put this on there for comfort, and it works fantastic.